Welcome back to the You Are Immeasurable podcast, season 3. This season is going to be dedicated to those of us that are on our journey of healing and transformation. The focus of this season is going to be to identify and recognize healthy and unhealthy relationship dynamics. We're going to talk a lot about the spiritual tools that we'll need to become acquainted with to help us to stand, to operate in, and to flourish as our authentic self. Things like shadow work, energy healing, which will help us to shred or shed the guilt, the shame that we've been carrying, and also to do some much needed subconscious reprogramming. Now, as always, the episodes are going to air weekly, and the purpose of them is to support you as you embrace and become acquainted with your enlightened and untethered higher self. So I want you to grab your water, your juice, your wine, or your tea or your coffee, and let's toast to each other and our growth, our elevation, and abundance. All right, so welcome back to the You Are Immeasurable podcast. Today, I have one of my favorite people joining us. Her name is Kim Parkinson, and she is the owner of an amazing marketing agency. She does all of the things, and she's just like one of my favorite humans. And y'all know I don't say that lightly or often because I feel some type of way about some humans. And I don't want to forget to mention that because she's probably going to remind me that we are doing this, and this is You Are Immeasurable's 100th episode. So I'm super excited about that. And with this being a huge milestone, and that's why I wanted to share that with Kim. So Kim, go ahead. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell everybody all the stuff that you do.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am Kim Parkinson. I own KP Creative Media. And yes, I am one of Tanisha's most favorite people. She even drove down all the way to Nashville to come see me when I was on vacation. So I love it. I actually have been the podcast producer of You Are Immeasurable podcast since day one. She does her show notes and then we get this all produced for her. So I am the CEO of a marketing agency. We help spiritually aligned women entrepreneurs be seen and heard. And that might mean help with your back end website or your email funnels, or that might mean helping with your sales page or your business basics. Like sometimes people just don't get it, like just the basics of business. And of course, then we also help with all of podcast production and any kind of like just events that you might do too. So we do quite a bit of different things over here. Most of our clients, I would say 94% of our clients are either priestesses or shamans or light healers, love messengers, some kind of witch. They're all different, wonderful human beings that have something spiritual to do. I even actually do also have a pastor that's a client, still spiritual in a different fashion. And Tanisha helps me with it all. So thank you so much.
I try not to break stuff. That's kind of what I do. And that too is another reason that I wanted to have Kim on for this milestone episode, because honestly, if it wasn't for Kim, we wouldn't be here. It probably would have never started. And I think we talked about that before we got started. And I was like, yeah, I've had this idea in my head, I think for like 2 or 3 years. And you were like, well, what are you doing? Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is going to be your day. When you're going to, well, is it launch, drop? I get them confused. But all of that, you're going to record me 3 episodes and this. And I was like, okay, fine. Yes, I probably need you to do that or it's never going to get done. So yes, so you can thank Kim because if it wasn't for her, yeah, I'd probably still be trying to figure out my life. So thank you, Kim. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that I have for you, and because it was so helpful to me, again, she is amazing, guys, and she's been there every step of the way when I was finding it difficult to talk to myself, because that's what it felt like in the beginning. I kind of got a flow now, but in the beginning, it was like, okay, I feel like I'm just talking to myself, and I feel like it's just weird. So, what would be like something or two or three things that every new podcaster absolutely needs to know?
You don't need a ton of money to get started. You need an idea, you need a CTA, and you need some way of getting your podcast out there to the world. And you need a little bit of commitment, right? So you need to make sure that you have somebody either behind you, like us, or you just have that real drive to keep going. So many people have started podcasts and then stopped, and that's called pod fading. I mean, even myself, I've had a podcast and I haven't been keeping up with it. So absolutely, one of the things is just commitment to get started. And you really should have maybe Zoom would be perfect. Like I think most people have Zoom, which is great. You can even record yourself in Zoom, which is amazing because then you don't even need anything else, right? Other than that, I would highly recommend a microphone and headphones, which we're not wearing. And I feel so bad. I'm not wearing them. It's because it was kind of an impromptu. So I'm like breaking my own rule here. 100%.
You can edit this out. They won't know. They won't know.
I think I'll just leave it in because people need to know. Like it does happen, right? And if you're having an impromptu like this is no different than if you were to say, hey, you want to do a live with me? And there's nothing wrong either with going live, either Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, going live, and then taking that same recording and putting it out as a podcast episode. Because just because you're talking to your audience on Facebook does not mean that your entire audience is on Facebook, right? Some of them could be on Instagram, some of them on LinkedIn, some of them could be not on any platform, and they don't like that social media thing, but they love podcasts and they love to hear about Gen Xers and they love to hear about how they're going to, fix themselves with shadow work and stuff like that. So putting it out there, no matter where you might have put it in the first place, repurpose. Don't make life hard for yourself. Make it super easy. Anything that you've put out there that's audio can all be a podcast, even your courses. Can I just tell you, I'm taking a course right now by this really amazing woman, and everything is a video. But she doesn't show you anything. It's just her talking like this to the Zoom. She could so easily make that into a podcast course that then I can actually walk around and I don't have to be attached to the video to watch the course. So yeah, there's a couple things. I think probably more than you asked, but
yeah. You actually made me think about how you can repurpose, because we talked about that several times too, to the point that even recently I started taking audiograms, the little snippets, and putting them on TikTok. I don't do too much of anything else, but I put those there. So you definitely can. And it does make it so much easier, because I've even in one of my courses edited down, took some pieces off the beginning and the end of podcast episodes because the topic fit with the course that I was doing. And actually that's like a bonus or an extra module in the course. So yeah, see, you be teaching me stuff.
I know. Sometimes people get very hung up because they think, oh, that's like an added expense, da da da. I'm going to just give you a little tidbit here because I'm all about oversharing, right? If you are on Captivate specifically, you can do a private podcast with your regular podcast for one fee. And you can offer it you can actually hook your Stripe account up to Captivate, and you can just sell it right through there, right through the funnel, bloop, right in. and you don't even have to do anything because it's all automated because it's all like there. So how sweet
Oh,
is it?
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. I don't use Captivate, but now you got me thinking. We can upgrade later. We'll worry about that later. By episode 200, we'll figure that out. With that being said, and thinking about the repurposing of content and audio and things like that, what would be, or what do you find to be the best length of a podcast or
Is
for podcast episodes?
There is two different types of links for episodes. If you are doing a solo episode, maybe about 25 minutes would be a really great place to start if you wanted to go specifically by length of episode. An interview episode is probably maybe like 35 minutes, maybe 40. I would definitely not do anything longer than an hour. I mean, even once you're getting up to like 50, what is most important in both of those is how much content value and how much you're captivating your audience, right? So if you have a really excellent conversation going and there's lots of juicy gemstones in there and it is just like sparkling, like the sun is shining on the summer solstice day, keep going because it's gold and people are going to lap it up. But if it is lagging and somebody is not really doesn't have really great information, maybe you're thinking, oh, there's not a lot of value in this as they're talking, cut that bad boy short and maybe even don't even publish it. I know. Sometimes it has to happen, right? What I tell my clients is sometimes you don't want to bore your audience. You don't want to lose anybody because it has like droned on and on and on, right? So you definitely want people to stay engaged. People want to stay very active in their podcast and hear something that they can take action on now, right? So if it's like, that was really cool information, I'm going to make sure that I do that on my next podcast episode, or I'm going to make sure I do that on the next time I meditate or whatever. You want to make sure that that is something bite-size, easy to consume, and actionable immediately. And that can be hard too.
Yeah. And it was funny because what made me think about asking you the question is because I was talking to a lady earlier and she was basically saying that she was starting a podcast. She's going to co-host it. And her co-host was saying that so their conversation should probably be around an hour to an hour and a half. And I was like, well, my podcast producer says that it should not be that long because people have short attention spans.
Yeah.
And even if it's really, really good, sometimes if it ends up going like an hour or so, you can cut it and make it 2 episodes and just have that to be continued, like on a show that you love to watch or whatever, because that's going to bring them back or what have you. But you don't want to bore them. Pretty much what you just said. I said, and think about it. Even if you're in a really, really juicy conversation, pretty much everything that's good is all contained. You know, you're flowing off of each other, you're bouncing back and forth. So it may seem like it's been a really long time, but it might have only been 15 or 20 minutes. Then all the rest of that time is fluff. And nobody wants to stick around for that. You're irritated and you're annoyed. Now you were enjoying yourself and then, now you're just over it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So see, I was quoting Kim earlier.
Thank you so much. I hope she takes your advice to heart because here's the thing, right? You can't even get people to read a long newsletter. We were talking about this before. We were talking about somebody else's newsletter. You can't even get people to read a long newsletter, and that's you reading it. And it's probably only taking you a few minutes to read it, but you don't want to because it's so long, right? So how are you going to captivate somebody to watch an hour and a half or listen to an hour and a half podcast? I mean, there is a reason why YouTube shorts are 60 seconds. There is a reason why reels should only stay at 90 seconds because this is what people like. They like to consume something quick, down, dirty. Let's go. I got it. Excellent. Let's move on. I did a reel yesterday. Took me all day to do, but I did it. I was very proud. And I think it ended up being like 32 seconds. Took me all day, 32 seconds. But still, like, I got everything out that I wanted to say in that 32 seconds, and it didn't need to be any more, and it didn't need to be any less.
Right,
And
right. And even myself, with me being somebody, I already liked podcasts when I started mine, or when you made me start it. But so I still listen to them. But even just now that I know from, the other side of it, sometimes it's like, okay, you are just he and hawing and you're not saying anything. And sometimes, that's how we are. We live in what they call it, a microwave society. Once we're done, we're done. Okay, you done did too much. And now you, I really was probably into what you were talking about, but now I'm over it. And I'm probably not going to think to come back because you done annoy me.
mm,
So, I just feel like, we have to be careful with that and being mindful. Okay, if it were me,
yeah,
if it was me, because even like my husband watches some of the ones, like LeBron James has one, and usually the episodes are like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but it's usually like four guests
yeah,
at a time. It's like set like in, I forget what it's called, but it's like set up in like a barber shop. And so, everybody's in the barber chairs and all of that. They have like three or four guests every episode. So
yeah.
that makes sense because you've got these different people talking.
Hmm.
But even I recognize, even with him watching that, he'll pause it, he'll go do something, come back, go back to it. It's not all being consumed at one time. You kind of got to think about that. And think
There's
about people's
also,
time. Who has an hour just to sit there?
yeah. And there's also that point too about, I actually just had this conversation with my editor the other day about producing a podcast rather than just editing a podcast, right? So there is times where you can actually omit large sections of an interview that maybe had nothing to do with whatever you guys were talking about. So even though you may have had a conversation with somebody that was an hour and a half long, great. You maybe could even break that all the way down to like a 45, 40-minute episode, because of course you're going to take out the parts about, hey, how's your kids today? Oh, hey, yeah, it's the weather's great. Or those parts, take them out. No needed. Take out any rights, you knows, ahs, any of that type stuff. Take it all out, because I'm going to tell you, there are some people out there that'll be like, oh no, I like it to be just natural. And I'm like, sure, you like it to be natural as you're taking your Brazilian. I get it. But at the same time, there are those people out there that, me as one of them, if I'm listening to a podcast and every other word out of your mouth is you have now turned me off. I have no desire to listen to the rest of it. It could be amazing, whatever you have to say, but I am just so like nails on a chalkboard with the ums and ahs, right? So anyway, take those out. And then anything that isn't in like perfect light. And I don't mean it to be like it has to be always glowing and amazing, because sometimes you have to lead up to the story. I get that. But you don't have to have all the nitty gritty bits in the story. Take those pieces out and really get to the meat of what you want to say. And then you have podcast gold, and you have content that is valuable, and people are going to just love it, because you just really have to spend that time to listen and to just edit in a voice that would bring information directly to your listener, rather than have them have to listen to all the other stuff.
And that's actually one of the questions I was going to ask you was, what are the pros and cons of producing your podcast yourself? Because I find that sometimes, even when I'll go in and like, okay, I can do this. This is the short one. Can do this, and Kim doesn't have to worry about it. Sometimes because it's my voice, and it's almost like when you're in school and you write a paper and you read it, you miss some things because you know what you meant to say, or where you've maybe left out words or different things, because in your head, okay, yeah, I know what I meant to say, so you miss it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of people, because they might feel like it's cheaper, or well, everybody tells you, oh, you only need a pill bottle and a pencil and an iPhone to start your own podcast. Yeah, that is true, but is it going to be the final product that you want to put out there when you do that?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what was a huge game changer for me was using the app Descript. That's because I can hear it and read it at the exact same time. And there is just something about being able to do both of those that then you see the redundancies. Then you see, oh, that's not what I said. Oh, I didn't say, wait, I meant to say that, but I didn't say that. So you can go back in and you can actually look at it because it will actually tell you in a lot of ways. And I think I was probably a very early Descript adopter as far as I think I've been using it since 2020 or 2021. So it's been a while. But I feel like that is probably the best way. If you don't have something like that, you can't afford Descript or you just want to do it on your own, then I would definitely take a look at the transcription. A lot of places will allow you to do transcription now and you can read them. I mean, even Zoom will transcribe your stuff for you. I mean, even here now, there's a Fathom reader on. And you can go ahead and you can give that like kind of a go and highlight some sections that you're just like, no, those got to go because that didn't make any sense. Or, oh my gosh, she just kept rambling. What the heck? She's like talked forever. That's probably the easiest way. And again, that's just because I'm reading it. There's something to be said about reading words rather than just listening. Listening is a secondary medium in this particular case. Typically, when you're listening to a podcast, you are doing something else. You are doing the dishes. You are folding the laundry. You're taking a walk. You're bringing the dogs out. You're tending the chickens. You're whatever. It is a secondary medium. And think of it as when you're editing, it's still a secondary medium because what else are you doing? You're staring at wave files like going up and down in Audacity or some other program. So being able to read it keeps two senses going, and that's going to make it, it's almost like having two people take a look at it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that when it comes to Descript, because since you showed me how to use it and all of that, I think I immediately go, because I am one of those people that say, all the time. And because when it's you, you don't realize it. And it's like a nervous tick or whatever. Some people say right. Some people say, like, some people, so everybody, and now I'm doing it because I just said it. But you don't realize that you do it. So when I go in there and I see all of these areas that are underlined, because I've said, 1,500,000 times, it's like, oh, okay. And it also gives you something to think about on how to hone your conversation and your craft and how you, I guess, like formulate your whatever when it comes to your episodes and things like that. You're conscious of it. So I think that is very helpful too.
Yeah, because none of us
About
were
that.
really given any kind of like voice acting, A lot of people just pick up a microphone, plug it into their laptop, and like, I'm doing a podcast today and I'm going to stick with it.
Right.
You might have this fantastic idea or you might have this fantastic knowledge and people are flocking to you. It also matters how big your audience is and how many people want to listen to it, right? You need to keep it entertaining, but you also need to always be advertising it so many different ways. Like, I think we even talked about after they have checked out and they've made a payment to you, it flips to a page and it's like, hey, listen to my podcast. Here it is.
Right.
So
Right.
easy just to have it right there, but it's one additional step. You have to think
Right.
every time you create that funnel, you got to pop
throw
them
it in
over.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question and I'm going to leave you alone.
Doubtful.
I know, right? I'll be messaging you later because I remembered something. But as far as, again, your expertise and what you've seen as far as stats and how things, the analytics and various things, do you think that people are more into, or single episodes do better or interviews do better?
Ooh, so this is actually based on your content again. And I'm going to tell you that if you are a well-known person, let's say just Mel Robbins here, right? She has really great solo episodes, but she's got high caliber, really amazing people on to interview. And I'm not saying that I am not an amazing person, because I am, but
Absolutely.
but I'm not going to have the draw as Mel Robbins, guest does, because I'm just not as well known. But if you have somebody that is a just run of the mill person like yourself, like us, I think there is some value in offering your own knowledge. And it's not just to the people that are out there, but it's also kind of a little bit of a legacy, right? Because you got all those files. And if you were to go by way of the dodo tomorrow, your children could hear all that wonderful knowledge that you have given them. I actually thought years ago about starting a podcast specific to older folks. And one of my people that I talked to at the time, I had a little accountability group, and I'm going to give a little shout out to Marty. She came up with the name Podcasting for Dinosaurs. and she was an older lady. She's probably like maybe 10 or 15 years older than us. And she said, this would be great, because if you could do this and you could get somebody to then tell all of their tales of how they grew up. There's definitely those stories of your life where people have written autobiographies and they're really super interesting. But think about how cherished that is to their family, because it's
in their voice. Yeah.
Yeah. And they can hear them talking. I had a meeting the other day with my uncle. He was a client of ours, and I could just hear, like, whenever he texts me anything, I can hear his voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you know that person really well, you don't even have to know, like, how they talk or anything. Like, you don't have to. You can already hear it. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's something to
Yeah.
be said about solo episodes for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
throw
As long as
them
they're not
some
an hour and a half.
curveballs. But definitely throw your audience some people that may bring a new light. And my thought process here is that bring some people on that show a new light of what you're talking about. So if you were talking, and I know you have talked specifically before, actually, what was last week's? Last week's was keep it cute, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would
I
have
got
been
that
a
from the girls.
perfect, yeah, but that would have been a perfect time for you to, like, maybe bring them on and be like, tell me what this keep it cute means. What does it mean to
Mm-hmm.
you?
Right.
Why do you use it? I'm old. Tell me what this means now.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah. I've been thinking about doing that too, having the kids on and different stuff like that. Because yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it gives, as long as it's context, right? So like here, like again, for instance, last week's you were keep it cute, and you're like, this is what the kids say nowadays. And then just like maybe like a little, like your little bit at the beginning of it. And then maybe just hey, and I'm going to invite Minnie over here, and she's going to tell us, like, in her own words, what keep it cute means for her. My oldest has a phrase, and he says, bet. And he started it when he was in the Marines. And I was like, what is he betting on?
What is he doing? What's he up to?
Where's he getting the money to place bets? Like, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. And it wasn't until my other son explained to me, oh no, that's not what that means. It means he gets it. I'm like, I don't understand. What? It's so much easier just to say, okay.
Not for them. They came up in the text generation. Everything is an abbreviation. Everything is, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah. But okay, listen, Bet, B-E-T. Okay? Okay.
Or just a thumbs up, right?
Yeah, with a thumbs up. Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. I truly am excited to share this milestone episode with you, Kim, because again, if it weren't for you, we probably wouldn't even been here.
Stop.
You're the one that's, hey, you didn't record this week. Don't forget to record. I need an episode for next week. And I'm like, okay.
Well, that's exactly how this is and why I'm not wearing my headphones.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're recording this the week before it drops. So hey, now you got me. You got me. But again, I appreciate you so much. You have been such an inspiration, a mentor, a motivator, and an educator.
I try.
To get me to episode 100. So I appreciate you. The You Are Immeasurable audience appreciates you. And you are just freaking amazing.
Thank you
So even though I talk to you every single day, the audience does it. So do you have any offers or anything that you want to talk about? Any events coming up?
So if you are finding that you are spiritually aligned women, a priestess, a light healer, shaman, witch, anybody like that, and you need help with your business, maybe you are stuck in the doldrums and you're not quite sure, you know that you have a great idea, you know that you have a fantastic product to bring to the world, but you just don't have any idea where to start, you can certainly reach out to us. We are kpcreativemedia.com. You'll probably get a hold of Tanisha before me, but that's okay. And then the other thing I do have to offer is I have just started a collaboration with one of my clients, and we are actually offering a business membership. So if you are at all interested in posting your events or your products and services, as well as learning how to build your business and keep it running, and networking with other people. I mean, we have so many things to offer. We're going to have all sorts of like library of information, email funnels and website building, everything. If you are at all interested in that, you're welcome to join. That is divinefemininenetwork.com. And this new membership that she is doing here is just kicking off. And I think I made the image, you'd think I'd know. I think it's $57 a month, I think, right now. And I do know that it is in our plan to increase the price by the end of the summer. So I would definitely jump on that if you're at all interested. Or if you want to do one payment, if you do the one payment for the whole year, you actually get grandfathered in. And then it's only $29 a month, but you have to pay for the whole year. So it's really a great deal if you stick with that. The 57 will be increased, but the as long as you join now, you'll be grandfathered in. So there you go.
Yes, and yes, absolutely. The ladies over there at Divine Feminine Network, they are amazing. And yeah, the ladies at KP Creative Media are pretty amazing too, if I say so myself. Not that y'all asked me, but in case you were wondering. I appreciate all of you being a part of the You Are Immeasurable podcast. And hey, we're just going to keep on going and see what's the next milestone we can hit. Until next time, cheers to your transformation. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the You Are Immeasurable podcast. Please remember to subscribe so that you can be notified whenever new episodes are dropped. Also, I'd love to have your feedback and your comments, as well as your 5-star rating. Additionally, if you'd like to connect with me, the show notes list all of my social media handles so that you can do so. So until next time, thank you so much, and cheers to your transformation.